The Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, CONTRALESA, has once again condemned criminality in the practice of initiation schools. Its president, Kgosi Setlamorago Thobejane, spoke to us earlier as more reports of botched circumcisions and fatalities come up.
We need to do things differently from where we've been doing. However, we would want upfront to say we have been found ourselves characterize the initiation with foreign characters. These foreign characters are characterized by criminal activities for those who are thinking or mistakenly believing that initiation processes, it has got anything to do with business. The initiation process objective is to allow our young men and women to practice their culture, their tradition and custom with dignity, in which, amongst other, we are inculcating into them the respect for value for life, respect for elderlies, respect for young people, respect for, more importantly, vulnerable members of our societies, which are the elderlies and the women and the children. It is unfortunate.
Let me chip in there, and now that you have mentioned the issue of culture, I grew up in a village myself. And the experience we had was that you had people come out of the school and bully everyone around. And as soon as they come out of those schools, everyone is not a man and they are men. And this thing's been going on forever. You have delinquents today as we speak because people have been bullied by the same culture, so to speak.
I may not be able to speak for exceptional cases, but I'm speaking about the objective of the institution of initiations. It has got its own objective that it intended to achieve. Yes, in any other society, there will always be one or two who does not, follow the expectations of those who inculcated a particular knowledge in that particular individual. It might be correct that the village you have grown up in, you have seen one, two individuals who behave in a manner that are becoming a disgrace to the institution of initiation. Its main objective is to teach people what Africans are all about, the caring society, the society that respects every individual living in that particular society. Yes, those individuals, they are spoiling, they are damaging the institutions that has got a background that if we were not to be, preoccupied by the loss of lives, there are a lot that all of us agreed that indeed these things have been performed in some instances in a very perfect way, without any harm, without any, not even talking about a loss of life. I'm saying without any harm, because we want to believe that all of us, we intend to build the future men and women who would remain founded on their culture, their tradition, and be proud to tell other nationalities anywhere to say we are Africans, we have been grown in an African way. Yes, not denying that these individuals who are bringing anarchies and criminal activities in the institutions. Because today, as we are speaking, our government, together with traditional leaders, they've tried by all means to try and regulate the processes leading to the conducting of the institution. But amongst our own society, There are individuals who are thinking money is the cause for the initiations. They conduct initiation precisely
for
with the
purposes.
intention of making money out of them, which is wrong.
Before we touch on the issue of money, this issue of culture would as well extend to law enforcement officers who, when they're supposed to make sure that these things do not happen, subscribe to the same culture and allow these things to continue until matters get out of hand. Would you not then argue that a serious debate is necessary then? Because you'd still go to villages and you'd find that illegal schools are popping up everywhere, and some of the law enforcement officers, because they ascribe themselves to this culture, they are not doing anything until something goes wrong.
Morton, I don't want to sound trying to defend any person who wrongfully mislead the public of South Africa and lead to the loss of life as a correct thing. But I would always argue differently. When you are saying everywhere there are illegal initiation schools, I don't think that is accurate. That statement does not tell the truth. The truth is, yes, there are pockets of individuals who are, misusing our institution for their own personal gain. And that alone, it should not make us to throw the child with the bath precisely because there is something wrong in the whole thing. We are acknowledging that we need to do things better. The law enforcement situation in South Africa, it says any law enforcer, to make it simple, a police, whether it's a policeman or a policewoman, once you are called to duty to intervene in issues of criminal activities, it is something that becomes unacceptable when there is a crime conducted in the initiation school where you expected only graduates to visit, to have all kind of police, including men in the initiation school of men, including women in the initiation of steps. You can't have that.
Yeah,
you need to come up with a system which will create a law enforcement which will be enabled to make sure that they are monitoring, they are playing the oversight of the legality of the whole institution without compromising the institution. We cannot correct wrong by doing another wrong. It will be a serious mistake.
My assertion was that there are pockets where you'd find these law enforcement officers, not everywhere, ascribing to that culture and not doing anything.
I think you'll know that police are operating in terms of the law. They don't just wake up and arrest anyone that anyone wanted the person to be arrested. I'm sure the Deputy Minister, Bapela, have, repeatedly pointing out that somewhere we need to amend the law and empower the police when coming to this institution. That is an acknowledgement that the current laws that we are having, we made them without accommodating this institution. It is in that context that ourselves we've been saying maybe a unit of some sort, including the judges who are different from the ordinary judges. They must be created deliberately to allow that any offenders of any individuals in the name of initiations will then follow that particular unit, be arrested by that unit, be prosecuted by the very same judge that we are talking about, so that we are saving the work of the police. For now, if you just say a police should go and arrest somebody because in your own view, this person is conducting an illegal school. The very same police, at the end of the day, will become the one to be on the wrong side of the law. So we need to create laws that will speak to ourselves as South African. The current laws did not take care of ourselves as African practicing this kind of initiations.
And those laws, one would say, have never been more urgent than where we find ourselves now.
I might not be the champion of the lawmakers, but every time a law has to be made, people have to identify a gap to say this particular area is not covered by any form of law that we are having. Of course, basic fundamental understanding of the South African is we do have a constitution which said everybody has the right to live in a very peaceful way, a healthy life, protected by government and everybody. But for us to realistically achieving that particular call of the Constitution, we need to have regulations, we need to have laws that become, to speak to that particular area and saying, in the area of initiation processes, what are the things that we need to do? We shouldn't make laws out of anger. We shouldn't make law out of emotions. We need to cool down and say, we do understand that this is part of our people. This is what practicing by many of African communities. What do we do to make it sure that it becomes perfect, it becomes what intended to achieve? It doesn't, find itself falling into the wrong side of the law.
I'll mention a story of a particular lady who sent her twin boys. The husband sent the twin boys to the school without her knowledge. Does this culture still continue without the involvement of women, and where are their rights in this particular case? What happened is that one of the boys died and she was never informed. She was buried in some place, and she only learned after some time, after she had prepared a beautiful meal for the return of her boys. One of them did not return to this day. How does she find closure? Where do we begin to talk about the rights of these people?
I think I'm going to respond to this talking about the procedure leading to initiations. A community of practitioners through its own leaders, in our case traditional leaders, will pronounce in time to say, come 2016, we are going to conduct this initiation process. These are the people who are eligible to attend. These are the people who cannot attend. The whole process is going to take place in this part of the community, more often at a mountainous, bushy kind of an area. After doing that, it becomes the responsibility of all families, of individuals who are volunteering. And I wanted to, to emphasize the word voluntarily, because nobody should be forced to be taken to the initiation. A young man, a young woman should volunteer to say, my parent, I want to go to this particular. Or the parent should say, next year there will be an initiation. We are intending to take you there. Are you agreeing with ourselves? And then once that agreement have been reached, the next process, it will be to say, the family, it's not limited in African understanding to mother, father. The family, we are referring to mother, father, and uncle. Families. In this regard, we are talking about because for a young man or a young girl to be taken to initiation, there should be rituals performed by the aunt. It cannot be performed by the father or the mother. Therefore, once anyone for some reasons is taking his or her child without following this process, we are risking to have casualties in the whole initiations, because the initiation process has got its own defined processes that must be followed by everybody going there. That we are doing it precisely to say we will inform everybody within the family, the life, the existing and the still to be born, that this particular child will be taken to this particular school.
Because
we are doing that. Because in case of, unfortunately, that you happen to die, the very same rituals should be communicated back to the family, and the family will do the necessary African ritual that will, you know, close the chapter. But the one you are raising now, it is not about the process of coma. It is the process of individuals who are, to me, forming part of the criminalities that we are talking about. And when we are saying they are criminal activities within the whole thing, we need everybody to understand that some of these people who are doing this thing, either they are doing them because of lack of knowledge. Either they are doing that deliberately or for some reasons that we may not know. And for that matter, when you are taking the twin to the initiation school, under a normal circumstance guided by our own custom and tradition, they cannot enter the same time. There should be a process that has to be followed. And even if they were to pay,
to separate
they cannot pay for both of them. It should be one payment for both of them. It is only when you are doing this thing in the right way. But when you are getting this, you know, fly-by-nights on the street,
these things
and
take place,
you claim that this is an initiation, then it's a problem.
Let me chip in there and ask you this. Are you aware of the reported excessive consumption of alcohol during this process by the people who should be carrying out these very, very sensitive operations on these men in these schools?
We are fully informed that they are predominantly young, you know, teachers who were supposed to become guided by the elderly when performing some of the things that are supposed to be performed, that they've taken a lead without the guidance of any elderly, without the guidance of traditional leaders, without the guidance of expertise that we are having in our, you know, disposal. We are against that. Hence, we have been saying again and again, and will continue to say that we are discouraging any abuse of alcohol and drugs when you are looking after those people.